Yep, I've got a tumor on my face. Womp womp. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's Naked Truth. Trisha Hershberger here. The first thing I want to say is thank you all so much for all of your support and love on last week's video. In case it wasn't very apparent from that video, I was very nervous to let that secret out of the bag because I thought there would just be a million comments that were like, ew, she's gonna be a mom now, unsubbing. But you guys were and will always continue to be the most gracious community in the world, and it made me tear up just reading your comments throughout the week. So thank you times a million. And to those Naked Army members who were brave enough to share their secrets this week, that was Nicholas, Pablo, Chris, Kavaja, James, Jab, and Jenny. Some people wanted to keep them private, some were willing to share, and if you want to check those out, they are linked in the description below. And a lot of people were commenting on last week's video that they were like, oh, what's this lump you talk about? And so I did mention it in a much earlier Naked Truth, all the way back this past summer before I knew I was pregnant, that I have a lump that I named Larry on the side of my face. And at the time of that video, which I'll throw a card to up here, I had been to see the doctor about it, and I've been to see a couple doctors about it, and they had said, this could or this could not be a big deal. And they said, to find out if it's going to be a big deal, you're going to need a biopsy. So that video left off before I got that biopsy. I did get that biopsy done, and the results of that biopsy were that it is indeed a tumor, which sucks. But it's a benign tumor for now, which is great. But it has the possibility to become a cancerous tumor or a malignant tumor. Womp womp again. And so the first doctor that I had seen about it, it's called a pleomorphic adenoma, and it's in my parotid gland, which is a salivary gland. But the only time that these tumors become malignant is if they've been there around 15 years. I know mine's been there a while, and I was shitty and didn't go get it checked out because I thought, oh, my jaw's out of alignment because I have TMJ, or any number of reasons to avoid going to the doctors. I think a lot of us do that, especially when we're in more creative fields here in the United States and don't always have the best health insurance. But I eventually got it checked out, and that led to this whole process. And anyway, I'm saying all that because if you have something you've been nervous about getting checked out, please go get it checked out. So, so I found out that this is indeed a tumor. It's benign for now. It could become malignant if it's been there for longer than I think that it's been there. And the first doctor who I saw about it, I had found out literally like 2 or 3 days after I got the biopsy results that it is a tumor and it's going to need to be removed before it becomes malignant. 2 or 3 days later, I found out I was pregnant. So I haven't been updating you guys on the status of what this was because I didn't want to tell you that, the reason I haven't done anything about it since then is because of the pregnancy. But anyway, the first doctor that I saw about it said, because I called him and I was like, hey, I know I need this major surgery. And it is a major surgery. They can't just unfortunately do a small incision and pop it out because that's where your facial nerve is. So it's a major surgery. You have to go under for 2 to 6 hours so that they can open the side of your face up so that they don't damage the facial nerve, because if there's any damage at all to the facial nerve, or even just the facial nerve being moved, it's very sensitive, can cause partial facial paralysis. So you would look like you have a stroke. And that's just one of many of the serious complications that can come out of that surgery. In fact, Naked Army member James has talked about it a lot on his channel and had the same surgery. So James, thank you for being so open with me about your experience. It makes me feel like I'm not in it alone, and your vlogs have really meant a lot to me. So thank you. But yeah, so I called up that doctor and I was like, hey, I know I need this major surgery, but I just found out that I'm pregnant, and I know that you can't you're not supposed to go under general anesthesia when you're pregnant. It's got way higher risks for mom and baby. And he basically said, I wouldn't wait 9 months. And you can interpret that however you want. Me being the hormonal crazy that I was, just having found out that I was pregnant, freaked out. And I was like, oh, I'm already in a situation where I'm having to choose, the pregnancy or my own health, and I just found out. And so while I wanted to be excited and overjoyed that I was pregnant, it became this very, very scary thing all of a sudden. So I talked it over with my family and with Nate, and what we decided was, let's see a couple more specialists. I did a lot of research, and some of the best surgeons in the world to do this specific type of surgery, which is a parodontectomy, because they're removing part or all of your parotid gland. Some of the best ones in the world are here right in Los Angeles. They were not covered by my health insurance. Well, the first guy who said don't wait 9 months was fully covered by my insurance. And then I found 2 other doctors, one who's partially covered by my insurance and one who's not covered by my insurance at all. But I went to see them both anyway, and I said, here's the situation. I had it biopsied. It's a pleomorphic adenoma. It's not cancerous now. It could become cancerous, but I also just found out that I'm pregnant. What do I do? So the one doctor I went to see was like, you're fine. Wait till you're through your pregnancy. Wait till you're done breastfeeding even. I can totally tell it hasn't been there that long. You're absolutely fine. So as soon as you're done breastfeeding, if you want to breastfeed for the first year or whatever, then come back and then we'll do the surgery then. And that was a very different response than the doctor who said I wouldn't wait 9 months. So I was like, what do I do? On the one hand, this is like a world-leading specialist on it, but still that's a scary thing to mess around with. And then the other doctor I saw kind of landed right in the middle, and he had said, yes, it's a major surgery. No, I wouldn't risk your pregnancy over it. Wait till you've delivered. If you do decide you want to breastfeed, which I do, he was like, wait until you're producing enough breast milk that you can freeze a bunch. Because obviously when you're taking meds to prep for surgery, when you're undergoing surgery, and when you're healing from surgery, you may be on antibiotics or have anesthesia in your system that you don't want to pass along to your baby via breast milk. So he said, approximately 3 months after you deliver, let's do an MRI, let's do another biopsy, and then we'll go in and we'll take this out. So that was the decision that we went with. So it's kind of been on the back burner since we found out that BB's coming along. I said this on my Twitch stream, but I don't think I said this in the vlog. We call him BB right now while he's in there, because the app that we were using to track his growth when we first found out we were pregnant was like, oh, he's the size of a BB this week, like from a BB gun. So he's BB while he's in there. But yeah, so that's the update on the lump. And I mean, I'll update you guys as soon as I get to the point where I'm about to have that surgery. And again, if you're interested in it, if it's something that you're dealing with, if you do also have this problem, it's pretty rare, but which is why it's crazy that James in the Naked Army has also had it. You can watch his vlogs. They've been very informative and helpful for me, but basically the risks are, that there could be any damage, which is permanent and not fixable, to the facial nerve. You could get Frey's syndrome, which is a situation where your salivary glands are like overactive and you sweat out the side of your face in that area. There's all different things, but you just have to trust in the doctor that you choose and hope that it all goes well. And yeah, I mean, that's terrifying for anyone, especially when you work on camera for a living. But I want to be as upfront about it because I think it can only be beneficial to other people who might be going through some kind of surgical or medical scare. So that leads me to my question to you guys this week, which is, have you ever been through a major surgery? And if you're comfortable sharing, how did you cope with it? I would love to know that, and I'm sure there are other people out there who may have had medical stuff in their lives that they don't necessarily talk about. I think a lot of us don't really talk about it because it can be very personal and very frightening. But the more that we talk to each other, the more that we realize we're not in it alone, and that's always a good thing. And that's what the Naked Army and the Naked Truth community is all about. So thank you guys. And I know I haven't asked for this in a while, but I have so many things going on in my life right now that it's hard for me to decide what to talk about each week. So if you have a topic suggestion for a future Naked Truth, please let me know in the comment section down below. And I love to give shout outs when people suggest stuff. So maybe you'll hear your name and yourself shouted out on a future Naked Truth. All right, guys, thank you so much again for all of your love and overwhelming support for Nate and for I and for BB and our growing family and all of it. It's a crazy time in my life. So I just know that I appreciate you more than you know. All right, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.